Here is the recap of the third season of American Horror Story. In the 19th century lived Madame Lalaurie, who was known for her cruelty and torture of black slaves. She had a torture room in her attic, where she scalped them and turned one of her servants, who slept with her daughter, into a kind of minotaur. This continued for many years, but one day Madame Laveau knocked on her door. The stranger tricked the slave owner to drink the elixir, which eventually gave Laurie immortality. But the woman was not acting in good faith. It turns out that Lalaurie turned her beloved into an animal and abused him every day, so the offended woman decided to take revenge on her in a rather unusual way. As a result, together with the townspeople, Madame Laveau buried Lalaurie alive, thus condemning the immortal human to eternal suffering. In the present day, young Zoe decides to take advantage of her parents' absence and calls her boyfriend to her house. The lovers decide to get close, but right during carnal pleasures her boyfriend dies. So Zoe learns that she is a witch and will kill anyone who sleeps with her. So her worried mother sends her to a special academy for special girls under the patronage of Cordelia. Within the walls of the academy, Zoe meets 3 students: movie star Madison, Nan, and voodooist Queenie. Soon, together with the movie diva Zoe goes to a party where she meets Kyle. At the same time, his buddies drugged and raped Madison, and after the appearance of Kyle, they ran away. But boys can't get far, because Madison turns their bus upside down with the help of magic and the white eye. The instigator of the violence survives, but Zoe decides to use her gift and kills him right in the hospital. In gratitude for revenge, Madison offers Zoe to resurrect Kyle. And together the girls go to the morgue. They put the guy back together piece by piece, and after he awakens, they try to take him away with them. At this time, the witch Misty, who has a skill for raising the dead, shows up. She offers to look after Kyle for a while, and the girls agree. Meanwhile, Fiona, the mother of the head of the academy, Cordelia, is trying in vain to find a way to rejuvenate herself and regain her energy. She is a high witch who returns to the academy after many years of absence to help her daughter teach her students the basics of magic. Fiona takes her students on a tour of Madame Lalaurie's house, after which she learns from Nan that she can hear her voice. The High Witch secretly digs up the coffin and learns of her immortality, which she herself desires. Meanwhile, Cordelia dreams of having a child, but cannot get pregnant. Then the girl turns to Madame Lavie for help, but she refuses to do her a favor. It turns out that the clans of Fiona and Laveau have been feuding for many years, and after threats from Cordelia's mother, the witch refuses to help her. Misty manages to heal Kyle's deep scars, and Zoe decides to take him to his grieving mother. However, after she leaves, the unexpected happens. The boy who was brought back to life by the witches not only doesn't talk, but also behaves aggressively. After his mother's harassment, Kyle kills the woman and escapes, and soon Zoe finds him. The girl decides to bring him to the academy to always keep an eye on him. She has trembling feelings for him, as he is the only one she can have intimacy with since he is essentially dead. Soon Madison begins to feel attracted to the guy as well, and the witches decide to share him for 2. After a while, however, Fiona accidentally kills Madison and asks the butler to get rid of the body. A council of witches arrives at the academy to investigate Madison's disappearance. However, the Supreme Witch manages to outwit everyone and avoid punishment. After a while, Cordelia is attacked by an unknown man in a robe and pours acid on the girl. As a result, the witch loses her sight, and Fiona sees this as an opportunity to get rid of the council and its leader Myrtle. As a result, she accuses her and burns her at the stake. However, the burnt corpse is found by Misty. She resurrects the witch and brings her to her house, where they are attacked by a witch hunter. So Misty has to ask Cordelia for shelter. Meanwhile, Zoe decides to find out where Madison has gone and uses a Ouija board. But in the end, she gets in touch with the spirit of a murderer nicknamed Axeman, who was killed years ago by another Coven. He clues Zoe in that her friend's body is upstairs, and in exchange for the information asks for release. So the Zoe finds Madison's corpse and, with the help of Misty's gift, resurrects her friend. Cordelia loses her sight, but gains the gift of clairvoyance in return. Touching Madison, she learns that it was Fiona who killed her. Together with the Coven, the Cordelia decides to execute her mother in order to appoint a worthy Supreme Witch. but the woman is warned about their plan by the butler. Meanwhile, the resurrected Myrtle considers Cordelia her daughter, so she wants to return her sight at any cost. She kills her colleagues and gives their eyes to Cordelia. Soon the already sighted witch is visited by her husband, who, as it turns out, is a hunter and is in alliance with Madame Laveau. However, the girl has learned of his treason, so from now on she wants nothing to do with him. Now that she can see again, the gift of clairvoyance is gone. Realizing that a fierce struggle for life is coming, she decides to return this power, so she pokes out her own eyes. Meanwhile, the witch hunters begin to raid and kill all of Laveau's companions, thus forcing her to come to the home of her enemy, Fiona. This is how the Supreme learns the secret of her immortality. It turns out that many years ago she made a deal with a powerful god who gave her youth and strength in return for the annual fulfillment of his request. So year after year, Laveau steals babies and sacrifices them. Fiona is not afraid of such a fate, so she also decides to make a deal, but at the last moment, it turns out that she has no soul, and therefore she has nothing to offer in exchange for immortality. To beat the deity and keep the baby, Laveau and Fiona decide to sacrifice another innocent soul and drown Nan in the bathtub. Soon the witch hunters meet with the Supreme and Madame Laveau, who supposedly want to make peace. It turns out that it was they who poured acid on Cordelia, so that the girl began to need her husband, the son of the chief hunter. However, the situation got out of control, and the Cordelia learned about the dark past of her lover. During the meeting, the axeman, on Fiona's orders, kills all the hunters. Meanwhile, the struggle for the title of Supreme Witch begins to take new turns. So Madison decides to get rid of her rival and lures Misty into a trap. She locks her in a coffin and bricked her up in the wall. However, after a while, the other girls manage to realize what really happened and free Misty. Soon Madame Lalaurie and Laveau die and go to their own hell, where now a voodoo witch is tormenting Lalaurie and her children. At this point, a blood-covered axeman bursts into the academy and tries to kill the witches, but Cordelia realizes that he has her mother's blood on him. In the maniac's flashbacks, she sees him kill Fiona after she wanted to leave him. The Coven ends up repeating the same old story and stabs the axeman to death, sealing him forever. Now that the Supreme is dead, the young apprentices will have to pass the 7 Wonders test, after which the name of the new ruler will be revealed. Everyone manages to cope with telekinesis, but the journey to hell turns to death for Misty. At the next stage, the girls undergo transmutation. The witches fool around, as a result of which Zoe accidentally impales herself on a metal fence and dies. Cordelia asks Madison to resurrect her friend, but she refuses because she doesn't need a rival. Myrtle convinces Cordelia to take part in the battle for the title of High Witch. Otherwise, if Madison wins, she will be a much worse leader than Fiona was. Cordelia agrees and easily passes the divination stage, but Madison fails the test. The girl ends up threatening the Coven to tell the reporters everything, thus destroying every single one of them. She goes back to her room and starts parking, and at this time Kyle comes to her. The guy is angry as Madison refused to resurrect Zoe. In revenge for the death of his beloved, the guy kills the movie star while Cordelia manages to resurrect Zoe. Fiona's daughter becomes a supreme witch and her sight returns to her. The first thing after her appointment, Cordelia decides to tell the world the truth about the existence of witches. She gives interviews for television, urging young witches not to be afraid of their abilities and seek help from the Coven. Myrtle is proud of her ward, but, not wanting to harm her, asks her once again to burn her at the stake. Cordelia resists her decision, but in the end is forced to listen to her and together with Queenie and Zoe burns Myrtle. In a few days, a long line of young talents lined up outside the academy who could now not hide their identity and coexist peacefully in the human world. The new Supreme is happy about such changes in society. She offers the heroines to become part of her council and the girls agree. Soon the head of the academy meets her mother, whom everyone thought was dead. Fiona tells her the truth about her plan, because now that the cancer is in its final stages, she has nothing to lose. It turns out that she implanted Axeman with false memories of her death in order to deceive her daughter and everyone else. The plan was for her to sit in the shadows while the election for a new High Witch was underway, and at the moment when the title was already awarded, she would return and kill the new head of the clan, thus regaining her power and strength. However, things didn't go according to plan, as her own daughter became her successor. Not daring to kill Cordelia, Fiona dies and falls into her own hell with the axeman. This is the end of the 3rd season. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click the like button. Thanks for watching, goodbye!